Election Watch Bayelsa and Kogi decides 2019. And of course, I have myself, Rita Modia, my colleague, Kelly Giga, and our discussants, Ayo Baje, Victor Aya, and of course, Emeka Madnago on the program. And earlier on, we were talking about the irregularities that we were seeing in Bayelsa State. But still, I'll give you some details as this is Election Watch. According to the Independent National Electoral Commission, only 889,308 voters collected their PVCs out of 923,182 registered voters in Bayelsa, while 1,485,822 voters out of the total registered voters and 1,646,350 also collected their PVCs in Kogi State. Now, Bayelsa has 8 local governments, 105 registration centers, and 1,804 polling units, while Kogi has 21 local government areas, 239 registration areas, 2,548 polling units. And earlier on, we had Dr. Abiola Kinyode Afolabi, the chairperson, Transition Monitoring Group from Bayelsa, giving us updates. She talked about late arrival of electoral materials of the personnel. She said that voting has commenced in some areas. She also talked about sporadic shoots at Okaka. Ballot boxes were also snatched in Bayelsa State, and this brought about fear in the eyes of the electorate. She also talked about vote buying and the fact that mostly men came out to vote in Bayelsa State. So far, so good. Kogi State is a bit peaceful, but we're still getting reports from Kogi State. Now back here, before we went on a quick break, Ayobaje talked about ethnicity and the power of incumbency being two major struggles in Kogi State. So I would ask the question now, Victor Aya, are we going to see ethnicity sentiments also play out in Bayelsa?
It will be very limited because you know that Bayelsa State is a mono-ethnic state. Okay. Though we have robots there, but they are very, very small. The majority of the 8 local government area, they are all Ijos, but with very little mixture of robots as indigenous there. So ethnicity will not play a major role there. What we play a role there is the power of incumbency will play a vital role, and the contestant too. We should not forget the fact that Doye Dire is astute politician. He has held different political offices before, while David Leon, you know, is a greenhorn. He has not held any visible political office. What he is doing today is that he is fortunate to be one of those who are assigned to be guiding pipelines, oil pipelines. That is what he's actually known for. But for political office, he has not had any notable political office. So, be that as it may, Doye Dire is going to have a very strong fight in the first place because he's having the backing of the sitting governor. He was one that actually ensured that he wins the ticket, and he has won the ticket. So the governor is backing him and is going to do everything within his power to ensure that he wins. While David Leon is having the backing of the current Minister of State of Petroleum, former governor of the state, Temipre Siva, is supporting him so seriously. But I'm saying that if the elections are conducted peacefully and without the government, without the influence of the federal government, the way I've seen things, the candidate of the PDP might have his way because of the roles he has played before. He was once a commissioner, was once a secretary to the disciplinary committee of the PDP, and he has held a lot of positions in the state. He was once a member of the House of Representatives, and currently he's a senator. And if you look at his CV, his CV is really intimidating when it comes to politics in Nigeria and Bayelsa in particular. So he has added advantage because of the various political offices he has held within Bayelsa and in Nigeria.
All right. Okay.
Let's hear the thoughts of Emeka as we look at this race. How tight is it in Bayelsa?
In Bayelsa.
Oh, it's really tight because there are a number of tendencies at work. I mean, I would happily term it the battle of the godfathers. I mean, the battle between the governor, the outgoing governor, Siraki Dixon, a very strong PDP man, and Timipre Silva, the Minister of State for Petroleum, and the former governor of the state. Of course, if you recall how, he was made to leave the governorship some years ago. So, and it's a battle for validation to show that he is still a force to be reckoned with in Bayelsa State, talking about Timipre Silva. And then Dixon, who survived 2 elections and I think 2 reruns, will want to show that the fire is still in him. And so whoever emerges between Joe Ediri and David Leon will actually be, quote unquote, sort of a stooge to either godfather. Okay. So it's a fact. You can go and check.
It's almost like that.
Basically, that's why you saw the PDP almost, went up in flames in Bayelsa, because the governor insisted on his own man, on Diri. So not even the former president Jonathan, not even anybody, any of the other prominent figures in Bayelsa PDP could have their way. The governor had his way after keeping people guessing for so long. So Bayelsa too, you find out that Yanagwa local government, there is a
one of the major,
there's a major stake in Yanagwa local government, and so the 2 leading parties, PDP and the APC, will be working so hard to make sure they get votes from Yanagwa local government. Jonathan's area too, Obia is up, it's another area, it's another battleground. And then you have other areas, you have Sabama, you have Southern Ijo. These are key battleground, these are battleground areas where they are going to fight. But from what people say, people on the ground say, it looks like it's like a 50-50 race, but I don't think so.
Okay.
But I don't think so, because Terake Dixon is a tested politician. He's a grassroots man. Yeah. And even right from when he was in the House of Representatives, when he was a member of the House of Representatives, he wasn't a pushover. He was somebody who knew, the right things to say, and he was a very good schemer. So basically, as governor, he has fought some solid battles. So he comes prepared. But Timipre Silva has been able to entrench the APC in Bayelsa State. Surprisingly. Bayelsa State over the years has been a PDP state, taken for granted as PDP. But Timipre Silva has been able to
maneuver.
Will I say smart politician, has been able to build a solid base for the APC in Bayelsa. Then you also have Heneke Lokobiri, the former Minister of State for Agriculture, who wanted to get the ticket, but he's not, he couldn't get the ticket, and he's really agreed. How that will play out, I don't know. And then you have Alaibe in PDP, you have Alaibe, you have Georgie Coley, you have some other people, some other aspirants who wanted to pick the ticket. So those ones are aggrieved. I know Governor Siraki Dixon did a lot to try to appease them, to try to pacify them, but we'll see how it all plays out. But you see,
get so unfolded.
Yeah.
Because we're pressed for time, we have a lot to talk about, so a lot of issues. I think as a means of feedback, we have a number on the screen which you can contribute to get us share your thoughts about the elections in Bayelsa and Kogi State respectively. The elections are going at the moment, as we can confirm, but I'm just looking at a picture now on one of our platforms here from our correspondent, Dele in Bayelsa. It's not too good, as we can see a damaged car by armed thugs in Opolo community of Yenogwa.
Still talking about violence
of Bayelsa State, and this isn't really good for Nigeria at all in elections. Again, I'm particular about this because over 31,000 police officers.
I mean, you've really been emphasizing it. I know that's why I asked the funny question that when the thugs were snatching the ballot boxes and lots of things were happening, what exactly were the security agencies doing at that particular point in time?
I can just quickly share a personal experience. When I monitored elections in 2003, somewhere in Lagos, who was the police officer? It was a lady, one female police officer just sitting there. And I noticed some funny moves. Some of the youths there were making funny moves, whether they wanted to snatch the ballot box or something. And I quickly assessed the situation and saw that these guys were just overpowered. In fact, the woman police wouldn't be able to do anything. She was alone.
So what were the others?
And it was even in a slum area, somewhere around the Jora. And so I quickly had to call the police to say, listen, you just left a lady here. What is she going to be doing? What do you expect one female
she was overpowered.
police to be doing here? So they quickly sent a reinforcement.
Right. Okay, I'd like us to talk about something very critical, and that has to do with the restriction of movement. As at 12 midnight, it was agreed that there should be restriction of movement in those states. But earlier on, when I spoke to our correspondent Adiola in Kogi, it wasn't hearsay. I could literally see vehicles, motorcycles behind moving. And as much as I personally want to clamor that we should get to a point where we can handle elections as it's done by developed nations, so people can move freely, do their normal businesses, and we still get to do elections. But what would you subscribe to? Let me start with you in terms of restriction of movement during elections. Should we have it? Should movement be restricted?
There's no need of restricting the movement of people.
Okay.
Because election does not supposed to be a war. But what we have in Nigeria is that whenever there's an election, a whole state is shut down. And if it is a national election, the whole country is shut down. People cannot move freely. It's not the best for us. But after the pronouncement has been made, then we have to observe it.
Okay.
We have to observe it. If pronouncement has not been made to that effect, then we shouldn't allow it. But when pronouncement has been made, we should observe it. But in a situation where there's discrimination, is what I argue, I disagree with. They will say there's a restriction, but some government official, those who want to ring election, will be moving about. Why are they moving about? It shouldn't be. If you want to do something, do it, let it affect everybody. Just like what we are saying at the national level, they say border should be closed because we want to farm and cultivate rice. But border is not closed for people who are traveling abroad to sleep in foreign hospital. Border is not closed for those who are going to foreign schools.
Just the land borders, actually. The land borders,
in the land border, we have sea border. We have air border. If you don't know, that is why you cannot just fly your plane into another country's airspace.
Yeah.
That is why you cannot just, paddle your canoe or your ship, to sail into another country's body of water. So there's border everywhere. It's not only land border. So what we are saying is that ordinarily, if we have advanced to that level, there shouldn't be restriction on movement during election. But when the pronouncement has been made, we should involve everybody. There should be no discrimination whereby we have some group of people that are favored. Those who are working for government can move from one part of the country, of the state to the other, committing heinous crime, helping people to ring election. That one is not acceptable. Okay. So let it be total. Right. If we want to observe it, let us observe it. If we don't want to observe it, let it be open for everybody.
All right. Are you agree with this?
Yeah. You see, I think we've gotten to a stage whereby we should be looking for how do we move forward.
Okay.
And I see a huge responsibility for the civil society. I mean, the mass media. Even people like us that will say we are analysts.
Yeah.
The Guild of Public Affairs Analysts, for instance, is planning, to embark on mass sensitization. We'll be assisting INEC and even political parties in terms of voter education. By the time people know that, if their votes will count, then let it be just like Ghana have been doing. It can be on a working day. I mean, get your accreditation done and all the rest, you vote and go to a place of work. I mean, the other issue is that I hope it's not a situation whereby some people have alleged we use this period for even corruption. For instance, we are talking about so many people deployed. I mean, so many policemen deployed, and some people are questioning the number. That are we really sure such number have been deployed? And what about the amount? You see, it also comes down to the issue of strategic planning. Okay. How did they arrive at that 31? How many?
Thousand policemen.
Yes. You see, Bill Gates wrote a book, Doing Business at the Speed of Thought, to look forward for the 21st century. How are you going to do your business? And we can relate that to the political space. You have to do some research. You gather information. You bring this information together. You analyze the information. Then you apply that information. In application of this information, that will help. I mean, especially the police, the army, in doing whatever they want to do. Because it should be based on, and that is why I mentioned the issue of being proactive before. If for instance, they will highlight some places. These are volatile places. These are places where they are likely to be, ballot box snatching. Yeah. These are places where there will be likely sporadic gunshots and all the rest. So, based on what has happened before, based on the information they've gathered over the months, they will now say, okay, we are deploying so number to so place. Do you understand? So this, and even those caliber of security personnel they will maybe deployed to such areas will be trained in such crime busting activities. So that's what we are saying. It's not just it's good if you give the command to restrict movement and all, so that there will be no ballot box snatching, there will be no carrying out of some heinous crime. But when as we have seen, the issue of the culture of crass impunity in Nigeria, people do the wrong thing, and then how many people? You tell me, how many people are in court now because of electoral malfeasance or offenses? Can you name one?
I mean, something needs to be done about that. Well, earlier on we talked about the power of, or rather ethnicity sentiment when we were talking about Kogi State. Yes. In Bayelsa, you mentioned problems of power of incumbency, battle of godfatherism. Do you think that this issue of ethnicity is a very big issue in Nigeria? I mean, look at apart from the states, presidential-wise, this issue of this state and this state or this. Do you feel that ethnicity is a major problem in Nigeria?
Of course it is. It is because politics is basically about self-interest, and politicians anywhere in the world would make very good use, maximum use, optimum use of any advantage they can find. But you see, in many countries that have been able to master the art of politicking, you just find minimal violence. They've been able to get past some of those things. Things used to be so bad in the United States many years back. I mean, where you had real violence, you had real bribery, I mean, so in the US, it used to be very bad many years ago. So where politicians spend good money to influence voting, influence even the primaries and all, it used to be very bad. But you see, over the years, they've been able to master these things and remove a lot of those things away. But you still have some things like that, lobbyists and some kinds of people who do some kinds of things. But when the law catches up with them, like my senior colleague said, the law is there to deal with offenders. But in Nigeria, the law is there. If you remember, there was a case of the governor of Kogi. He had an issue concerning, I think, his registration, details.
Double registration.
Double registration. But what happened? We saw how it was just, quietly swept under the carpet. Now, when we do these things, like I say, for instance, okay, look at in Bayelsa State. On Thursday, a PDP rally was attacked in Nembe. People were killed, including some policemen. One of an inspector, he died. I think he died yesterday or today.
All right.
Now, why would the leadership of the police look away when thugs unleash violence on society and policemen are among the casualties? Do we prefer partisanship to the lives of Nigerians? These are critical questions we need to answer.
Well, okay, still on that same question, when are we going to choose leaders based on their performance or based on their credibility, competence, and not based on this is from so tribe? Exactly. When are we going to do that?
I will tell you.
To have the best candidates.
I will tell you what. You see, my colleague has talked about restructuring. That is one. Secondly, we need to remove the incentive that politics offers.
That is it.
Then,
simple.
Thirdly, you see, Nigerian politicians are a funny lot. You know, one of the things they use, you know, when you deepen ignorance and hunger, you see those two things, ignorance and hunger, they are very deadly tools. And Nigerian politicians deploy those tools to sort devious ends. People are ignorant, they don't even know their basic right. There are sometimes I discuss with people, and they're complaining about something, and I say, listen, with your phone, you can even get redress for this thing. You can simply call a number and you get redress, but they don't know. They don't know their right. People are carrying a smartphone and they don't even know that all the information they need is on their smartphone.
So you're saying that people are not well sensitized?
Yes, people are not well sensitized, and they don't even care to know about their rights. How many of us have a constitution in our homes? How many of us have ever used our phone to check the Nigerian constitution or to check the electoral law or to check for any laws?
I haven't.
Do you check? When last did you check the constitution? When last did you check any of these things? The tariff, okay, for instance, the electricity tariff, do you know the tariff you're supposed to pay? When you get your bill, if it's estimated billing, do you go through it? Because there have been occasions where I challenged officials of utility company covering and I challenged the manager. I said, listen, hello, now look at this chart you drew.
Okay, let's
the supply.
Well, we'll still go back to sensitization, but
then the issue of, you know, the other issue I mentioned, hunger.
All right.
Hunger. As long as a large number of Nigerians remain hungry, unemployed, and lack empowerment, so long will politicians get away with a lot of things. But I look forward to the day when a lot of these things, poverty, we will really deal with poverty, deal a death blow.
Let's move on because we're seriously pressed for time. We'll be out of here in probably 15 minutes. Some of you have tried to call and we never asked you to call me. Said you should just do us
just send a message.
And we'll try to read up your text messages just before we leave the studios. But an added dimension rather to today's election has to do with the senatorial elections, which of course involves Dino Melai and Smart.
Two brothers.
Brothers who, old folks, I would want to describe them, they had switched tenants. I mean, Dino used to be in the APC, switched to the PDP, and Smarter them used to be in the PDP, defected to the APC. After the elections, I'm coming to you because Kogi is your
base.
After today's elections, do you see these two again probably switching camps, or do you see one switching camps again?
Let me say that I think that is not what is really important now. What we should be asking ourselves is, just like you asked before, the issue of competence. When we play that the role, I'm going to vote for this person because he's doing this, I believe he has the capacity for this, I share or I key into his vision. That's where we are going. Whether they switch camp or not, you know, a politician, you know, during one of the lectures, Nick lectures, said that whether it's PDP or PDP, or APC, whatever, that they are the same set of people. So, but what we are saying now is that let's go beyond that. Let's go to the next level. Let's get to that level when the electorate will be so enlightened, so empowered, so independent that they will say, okay, I'm going to vote for this fellow. I don't care what others feel because I believe he or she has the requisite qualities of leadership. Okay. And one has the capacity to identify the major problems and be able to prioritize them, and of course we'll be able to, solve our problems.
Okay,
that's it.
Because we're trying to see how we can connect live to one of our correspondents, but let's quickly see if we can get some of these feedbacks now. This one says, I am Dan Kogi. It says, Kogi's elections today is going to be unfortunate for us today. Okay, we're going to be unfortunate for us today, too helpless to see GYB returns again. Okay, nobody can take it from him. Let my people from Kogi is learn not to be selfish. He says exactly what you talked about, the fact that sentiment is going to play out in Kogi State. This other one here says, good afternoon, please bring people that can educate your audience, not people that can mix up. Okay, I don't know why he's driving towards this direction, but I'm not sure what exactly.
I think basically we're informing and educating people here.
Educating people, and of course we definitely have to make reference to other issues on the ground.
All right. Okay, we talked about problems of ethnicity, power of incumbency, battle of our godfathers and all that, but we're still having the issues of the electorate here. How can we handle, or rather have a change of mindset for the electorate? Victor Iron. I know what you're laughing, but earlier all you said it's not about positivity.
Yes, I know. See, the problem we really start having is that when we say the way it is,
okay,
we don't like to deceive ourselves. It will be very, very difficult to have a change of mind of the electorate. Why did I say so? I said so because of the kind of structure we are running. The structure is the greatest problem we have in Nigeria. We have a structure that is a strangulatory structure, from up to down. I've never seen a country that is run the way Nigeria is run, and you want progress. It's not possible. It is only one man that decides who should be here, who should be here, who should be here. It can't grow that way. That's the problem I'm having.
All right.
In US, every state has its own constitution. They run things by themselves. But here, no, you have a state now that has the land. What is in the land does not belong to that state. Okay. It is the federal government.
Victor, we'll get back to Victor from the South.
It's a big problem. No, it's not because of South.
I know, I understand what you're saying.
It's not because of the South. That is why the country is not progressing. If the Ocho state is capable of mining gold, would there be jobs there? There will be jobs. Criminality will reduce because people will have jobs. But because of this strangulation system, they cannot mind what we have there.
Okay, we'll get back to you, Victor. But right now, as I said earlier on, we have our correspondents in Kogi and Bayelsa State. And joining us live is Dele Fason, who is in Bayelsa State. Dele, good afternoon. Can you give us a situation report of what is happening in Bayelsa?
Some armed talk is like they said 10 in numbers where they shot at the car of a party agent where it was demolished, destroyed the car, the glasses everywhere, and even attacked some of the buildings around there. Not quite long and about 100 meters away from where the security civil defense had their headquarters here in Okodo. The situation has been calm, but I spoke with the owner of the car and the chief in the community, who told me they were blaming a particular party for causing that damage. But we cannot speculate, but they are just alleging that the talks were from a particular party that they destroyed their car and they escaped, that there was no election in Okolo as I speak with you, because everybody's come back for safety. They sent the car that was damaged and still by the roadside there. So no election there, but earlier on in the Yenagoa Metropolis there, you find out that large turnout, but it happened around from 10 p.m. past 10 p.m. That's because INEC did not arrive the venue earlier with materials, but the turnout of the people there were encouraging, very encouraging. But what we are looking at now is that voting is supposed to stop by 2 p.m. except those that are still on the queue. But I don't think it will happen that way because of the late arrival of materials to the venue. So that's the present situation right now.
Okay, thank you. What about, you talked about violence and the fact that people went away in the local government in Bayelsa State. Security agencies, were they around during this period? What were they doing?
One of the community chiefs I spoke with, he said that they ran to the police post, which is about 100 meters away from where they are, that help did not come from there until they bounced on his car, started shooting. After shooting with the boss they came with, and they all escaped without the police doing anything. But when you go along the road, along the expressway in Yenogua, Opolo, there you see them patrolling. But during the time of this violence, there were no presence of policemen. But we could see them at about 100 meters with civil defense operatives there when they were in position. But at the time this was happening, nothing happened. But in Yenogua City, in a place they call Amarata, we find out that they were very close to the polling unit, ensuring that nothing happens. The policing there was superb, except for Opolo area where they said voting did not take place.
Daily Fase for that update live from Bayelsa. We'll get back to you for more updates. Thank you very much. All right, back here in the studios, it is quite saddening. Once again, we have violence, and rightly, as our correspondent said, he said there was a large turnout in Yenogua, and as Emeka said rightly, he said that Yenogua is one particular local government that everybody is looking at, and according from the INEC records, this is because it has the highest number of collected PVCs, about 180,263 PVCs collected in that local government. So it's good we have a large turnout out there, but unfortunately the Polo community, or rather local government, Polo is the suburb of Yenogua, right? Yes. So we are not having the problem of violence, and still we talked about violence in Kogi State too again.
The correspondent didn't also, because I understand that some militants blocked, the maritime entrance into some communities, and then but the people in those communities have actually fled into the forest. So from what I hear,
still brings us back to the issue of violence.
From what I hear, it's like the security agencies are particularly concentrated in Yenogua, maybe fearing that that's where the battleground will be. But you see, the other areas, elections sometimes are won through.
So are we saying we're not equally placed now in Bayelsa?
It's the issue I mentioned before. I mean, there's what we call information gathering. You gather some sensitive, as a police personnel, or at least the one that is heading that area, you have gathered some information. You analyze, you collect this information, you analyze this information, and you take proactive measures. That is, you will be able to say, this area, something like this is likely to happen. Maybe it has happened before, or you've had some feelers. But why deploy all these security personnel and concentrate them only at the urban centers? What about the rural areas? We've seen this playing itself out over the years. I can remember while here on Galaxy 2003, 2007, similar things had happened in River State, in some other state, Plateau State, and all the rest. And we were talking about the topography, the landscape, and we will say, okay, for Plateau State, because of the hilly nature and all the rest, but some material did not get to the electorate as at when due. Then rivers were saying, because it's a riverine area, and because it's a riverine area, even some figures were announced that we know that could not tell you exactly what happened. So over the years, INEC working with the security personnel, especially the police, we should have identified some of these problems. Areas, and after identifying them, you now say, okay, this is what we are going to do, or this is what we have identified as the major problem. Then you now take your strategic decisions. when you talk about, that's why you see in some ministries you talk about information and strategy.
Okay, quickly,
they work together.
Sorry to cut you short, but let's quickly hear from Victor Aya, because now we are having that there is no election now in that place, in that particular place, according to our correspondents. And even in Yenogwa that we had large turnout, we said the electoral materials did not come out on time, so voting might not end by 2 p.m. Yes. So we have those logistic problems.
INEC has not been able to, as I said it earlier, INEC needs to really get up,
on their game,
improve its game.
Okay, Victor Aya, quickly.
What is the question?
Victor Aya now, he makes confused now. He talks about the security issues now, the fact that there will be no election in the Polo, and the fact that voting would not end by 2 p.m. in that particular Yenogwa, where there was late arrival of electoral materials.
Well, whether there was an election or not, at the end of the day, somebody will be declared.
When there was no election?
Yes, it happened in Lagos now. At Okota, we saw when there was one policeman there. After people had voted, some thugs just came in, said the ballot box is ablaze, and at the end of the day, results were declared. So that is Nigeria for you. Until you remove the incentives, until you remove the benefits of office, this thing will continue to remain with us. But when we say the truth, they say these are prophets of doom. But we are seeing it happening every now and then. As long as people we struggle for office because of the money, then this thing will remain with us.
Okay. All right.
But I wish the people of Bayelsa and Kogi
the best, right? Yeah, we wish them all the best. Well, according to what our correspondent said, due to late arrivals of the electoral materials, voting might not end 2 p.m. and it's exactly 2 p.m. on the dot. Well, we'll see how it all pans out in Kogi and Bayelsa State. Yes, and you've been watching Election Watch, giving you updates on the Bayelsa and Kogi elections. Thank you very much, Victor Aya, for all your unbiased analysis.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Aya Baje, Emeka Madunago. Unfortunately, this is where we'll draw the curtains. Kelegiga, a pleasure having you.
Absolutely.
We hope for the best in Nigeria generally. And of course, we hope for the best for Kogi and Bayelsa State. I am Rita Omodia, and this is where we draw the curtains.